So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you. How are you?
Doing great today. What did you want to talk about today?
Well, I found out that I have a syndrome, and when I looked up the meaning of it spiritually, it basically said I had something, there was a blockage in like business.
Uh huh.
And I was hoping that you could help me with that because I have a lot of talents and I have a real issue with money, and I'm not really sure where that stems from.
All right. So, what year were you born?
66.
And what is the last thing you did for a job?
Uh, I was a receptionist at a green concrete maker. They built greenhouses.
All right. So, right from the very beginning of your birth, there's all this buildup in rage and frustration and anger. Unlet go. You're like a pit bull who won't let go of stuff.
Pretty much.
That is what's blocking you from business.
Okay.
Blunt and honest. You have all this abundance there, but you have a need to take, I'll be blunt again, action on people you judge as needing to take action on, when in fact it's just wasting your energy. You've scolded people hundreds of other lifetimes and it never worked. You've dressed people down thousands of other lifetimes and it never worked. You've been the proverbial priest on the mount trying to tell everyone to do right and they don't listen.
Yeah.
So why are you still wasting your energy and storing it as rage?
Well, I didn't know that I was doing that. I did have a hit on that maybe about 4 weeks ago. And I'm really trying to pinpoint it because it is absolutely blocking me.
It's in your heart. It's in your heart. You can't pinpoint it any other way than other in your heart. You at some point let that as a form of life being raging at people. And it's when you were a teenager. You got to go back to those moments where you let the anger in.
I was pretty quiet as a teenager. I didn't say much.
Sure. Suppressed and pissed.
Yeah, I think that's more like it.
Right. That made a steaming energy inside you, which began seething with hatred because all these other people had better lives than you.
Nah, that's jealousy, isn't it?
And then it turned to, I want to have friends, and every time you're out there, people are blocking you from having friends and being mean to you. Why are they being mean? And then the backstabbing began, where they began backstabbing you, and then it turned to rage that had nowhere to go until one day the avalanche went down on somebody you didn't want it to go on.
All right, so how do I fix that? I understand that it's rage now, and I know that knowledge is power. And
claim it back. Like literally at this moment, I, in this ever-present moment now,
in this ever-present moment now,
claim back every moment of rage I have ever had.
Claim back every moment of rage I have ever had.
Every word in vengeance I have ever spoken or written.
Every word of vengeance that I have spoken or written.
I reduce to zero minus infinity the charge and polarity.
I reduce to infinity minus the charge in polarity.
So I may return to my sacred neutral balance.
So that I may return to my sacred neutral balance.
All energy of rage stored inside me.
All energy of rage stored inside of me.
I now transmute and transform.
I now transmute and transform.
Into positive creation, inspiration, and dreams.
Into positive inspiration,
creations and dreams.
Creation and dreams.
Okay. That is a daily, and weekly, and monthly, and yearly habit you have to learn to master. Because every time you went into rage and accepted rage as a way of life is the number of times that you'll probably have to do that as part of a revocation process, just to bring you at a balance of how much rage was spent over the last, let's say, 30 years. Because that's what you're looking at, is 30 plus years of being in a rage format.
Yeah, that's pretty correct.
Okay. So you ain't going to clear this up overnight. You may have moments where you do certain rituals and ceremonies and it feels immensely better. But then there's the next challenge and the next challenge until the next person pisses you off. That is where the greater form of change for you is, stopping people from using triggers against you. Most of them don't know your triggers and just say what's on their mind, and it pisses you off.
I understand.
So it is internally you who has to have internal dialogues and conversations with your internal programs that are always in argument mode. How often are you in your head and somebody who pissed you off, next time I see them, I'm going to say this to them and this to them and this to them, and I'm going to say this to them, and it's going to piss them off, and then I'm going to say this. Is that what goes on in your brain?
No, I never have the intent of pissing anyone off. I just have to say what I need to say, and that's pretty much
You're
it.
still practicing a conversation. You're practicing a conversation in a rage format, in your internal dialogue. Do you see the relation?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
Do you see the relation of practicing that internal arguments and debates?
Clearly, yes.
That right there is meaning rage is now in your center core frequency, meaning you've allowed it into your heart space. That is one of those things, when you see yourself doing it, the I am immediately has to put an end to that.
But how can that be when I don't live a rageful life and I'm not normally pissed off? I'm pretty happy-go-lucky person.
I don't really believe that. I think you are more sad than you really are, because to have this much rage in you, to be seething over at this level, there's a lot of things you are denying in your life.
Well, I've had some trauma recently, and I've lost everything, including my husband. So there's a lot of anger there over the situation because it has to deal with some pretty dark shit. And I'm pretty mad about it.
You got to get over it. Otherwise, it's going to kill you.
Well, I'm working through that, and I'm doing it as best I can. And
I know you are, and I'm not being hard on you. I'm actually speaking more to the energies that are around you than you.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm angry because I have that energy around me, because that's not my heart.
But that's your creation energy.
I understand that.
Every moment that you've had that debate in your mind about, I'm going to tell this person this, or I'm going to make this my final words to this person, whatever internal debates, you are enforcing a bubble of energy around you that is still rage-based. Okay? You have to begin to dispel your weave. This is where, being a magical practitioner of the self, you've got to look at the home and the space and the car that you're in and unravel the rage weave, literally, so you don't have to sit in it every day.
Okay.
Okay? You know, you can look at your bedroom and just reach in there with your hands and pull off all the webs from the corners and take them outside. Use the sage to bring back to zero, to clear out all the negative webs that you created. And yes, other people are co-creators with that, but it's rage is love gone awry, where two beings can't figure out how to function together, even though they're both still using a form of love. Now, no matter how positive or charged, it doesn't matter. It's not being expressed, and it becomes a distortion. You've got to clear these distortions out of the resonant frequency of your environment, knowing full well you will produce a little more here and there, here and there. This is that balance you're talking about, where you say you're pretty good, but you never got a chance to clean up the weaves of all the other times when you weren't good.
Yeah. True.
Okay?
I agree, yes.
Clean the energy environment of your home, your car, your work, whatever it is, your email, The other day I saw somebody with 32,000 emails on their phone. If you're
I
one of
have
those
10.
people, get rid of those emails.
Oh, I start doing it and I get distracted.
Okay.
Yes. I have one more question if you don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe two. One, I have this thing with like weather. I see sylphs, I can film them, that kind of thing. I also have a thing with lightning. So I was wondering if you could expunge on that a little bit. And the last question is that you spoke about telepathy in the workshop, and I only caught bits and pieces of that. And I was wondering if you could go and if you could re-elaborate a little, or just restate it again and maybe elaborate just a little bit, please.
So in the workshop for telepathy, I was referring to what it takes to learn it through the throat chakra is the determination of through the out loud name it to claim it system of claiming back the power of the throat chakra is the first step in understanding how to create empathic telepathy, where you can pass on emotions. We can receive emotions through our empathy nodes, but for telepathy to be engaged at the synaptic to mind level without words being spoken, the throat chakras still have to be in a harmonious union of creation. And it's linked to a bigger conversation with telepathy. And what was the first part of your question?
The first part was I have a real thing with weather. I am Native American.
Yeah. So weather is one of those things that we all come in with a contract that we could be outstandingly good at if we chose. Now, does that mean for you to become a weather person?
No.
It could be, but this is a modern age where are you doing it for an audience or are you doing it for yourself? The weather, from my opinion, related to you should be a personal experience of spirituality.
Yes.
Not something you're really going to want to share to the common lay people with a cell phone camera, making money or making a personality out of it. That is not going to serve you in any way, shape, or form. It's your personal companionships and relationships that you can learn how to let go of rage. Okay? Allow them to begin to heal you. The thunder and the lightning are some of the most powerful healing things. But you also got to trust.
That's hard.
Well, that's the opposite side of rage.
That's about it.
That's the opposite side of rage. You have no one to trust. You don't even fully trust yourself.
That's not true. I trust myself wholly.
I would beg to differ. You wouldn't have so much rage if you didn't. I've done 10,000.
Now, could the rage come from like genetic bloodline?
Choice. You chose.
What if I made the choice to clear the bloodline? Would that?
It's not the bloodline. It's you made a choice.
Okay.
So I've read 10,000 plus people publicly in 5 years, maybe 6 years. Mm-hmm. I see these common patterns of rage choice, partially because other lifetimes rage occurred because of war, death, famine, all this other stuff, or not being heard at a time where religion was stifling other personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, you have some form of lineage energy there, but that's more rebel than it is rage.
Right. Okay.
And growing up, it's very easy to misunderstand the rebel frequency coming through you, and it end up being rage. If you truly trusted yourself, you wouldn't be at this level of rage. And this goes for everyone else out there. If you have rage like this or greater, there's a part of you that doesn't trust yourself for love.
I think that's why I've reached out, is because I don't know what to do with it. And I've never been like this before, and I don't know really what's going on. My whole life is different, and I hate it. I mean, that's a terrible word to say, but I mean, I really do not care for it. I'm Pollyanna, bubbles and rainbows and unicorns, and this is just
Yeah, but you got to realize part of living the singularity as the duality here is to know the harshness of the place so that you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make something valuable and meaningful to the memories that you're creating so you make a legacy for the ancient soul that's inside you. If you want to activate that native blood, that's what it's going to tell you. Make a goddamn legacy for the future generations, or get the hell out of the soul family.
That. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it.
The first thing is you let go of rage and you get happy, just like you were just laughing right there. It is a choice.
I hear you. I hear you.
It is a choice.
I hear you, Andrew.
Okay? Literally, that's what the native blood is telling so many out there. Make a lasting legacy change or get the hell out of the lineage. Okay?
Yes.
But those lineages do that for a reason, because they are trying to get the most potent and powerful souls of the ability to communicate to the ancestors, living and non-living, a way of sacredity that we can all communicate together. That's one of the reasons I'm born. I translate into English, but there's also the unseen communication. Let me tell you something. For you to be at that level of rage, some of your ancestors have been really working overtime, working your ass up. Okay? Put chest moving, all this shit to be around you. Let's see what happens to her now.
That's exactly what it feels like.
And that's the trailer trash soul family. Okay? That's the meth head soul families that ruin every Christmas dinner. Only you can cut them out of lifetime to lifetime and say no more.
Got it.
And another little harsh thing, there will be those ancestors who see you as that version of trailer trash because you were in such rage. And when you change your rage, there will be a great reckoning to their judgment, just like there was a great reckoning to your own judgment. And you will get a whole new level of ancestral communications when you let go of this rage at the deepest core, and it'll stop allowing love to be a distortion of rage.
Got it, Andrew.
Now, one more thing. You know, I know reality is really challenging you right now, and I really get that. Do you have any comedy clubs around you?
Andrew, shut the hell up. I have been being pushed spiritually to start doing comedy because I've been told I'm actually pretty funny.
Well, get your ass on stage, and you can tell your inner programs I said to do it. I mean, this is where you can get your rage to channel out, all right?
Okay.
Okay, and transmuting it into comedy. Even if you got to call it the swearing hour.
That's where the swearing comes from, huh? Because I don't do that.
Make it your rated XXX hour, whatever it is that you want to say. Okay?
I hear you, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay. So, first thing first is put your toe inside a comedy club, let them make you laugh, and then find an open mic night and get your ass up there. Okay? And here's a visualization for you. A big hot ember coal from a sacred fire is right inside your ass.
Ow.
There you go. Get up and go.
I've actually had one burn my ass. I didn't like that.
Then keep on moving.
Gone.
Exactly.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. All right, darling. Thanks a lot for calling in.
You too. Be blessed. And I appreciate everything you do. And your service is absolutely a blessing.
All right. Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
Let's
Bye.
move on to the next call.